Alright, we're going to do the other foot here. Leave that out front so it stays. And once again, you got to cut triangles. Once again, sharp scissors. This is already the start of the second and a quarter roll. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that the material doesn't fold over like it did right here. If it does, just pull it down flat, because the first layer you put down is going to make the mold on my side smooth. The smoother you make my mold, the smoother and better form fitting the shoe or boot is going to be for you. If you do this fast and botch it, you're going to end up with botched boots, because I build them to the mold. I do not guarantee the work. As long as whatever I build fits the mold that you sent me, that is what we work off of. The reason why it's so critical is, you buy regular ballet heels from like Pleasure or the IST heel. Those are made either out of leather, pleather, man-made material. They will form somewhat to your foot. We're building these all out of stainless steel, brass or steel or copper, whatever you decide to buy at the time. It doesn't form. Your foot has to form to that. So this is why you want to take the time to make sure you do this right, so that you get something that you can actually use. When I go around the base of the foot, I'm leaving about 3/4 of the material for overlap. And it helps stick it together for the first layer. If you try to leave just a little bit like this, it's not going to stick. See how I went over half of it right there? Remember, we're building up a thick cast, just like she would break her foot or something, like what an ER doctor would do for a broken foot. It's basically what we're doing. You want to have all your triangles pretty much pre-cut ahead of time. Otherwise what happens by the time you cut one, put one on, cut one, put one on, some of the cast is already going to start to dry and it's just not going to stick to each other well. You have about 10 to 15 minutes of working time with this. There are YouTube tutorials on people who do plaster mache masks with this stuff. If you're not sure what you're doing, either email us or look up some YouTube tutorials on how to work with it. Doing some feeling to make sure the cast is thick enough in places, and I can feel a couple places where it's not, so I'm gonna make sure to add some more of the gauze to it. Around the top of the boot, if we're doing an ankle boot, you want to make sure that there's about 4 to 6 layers at the top. Otherwise, when we go to cut this off, it's just going to collapse and we're not going to be able to put it back together. Now, if these were doing ankle boots, obviously the ankle boot sculpt about here, we went higher than what we need to. Go about 2 inches higher than what we're asking for. If we were going to do just ballet style boots, you go to here, but for what the extra material cost, it's worth going up to here in case you decide to change it. We could do that. What you're going to end up doing, and when this stuff dries in 15 to 30 minutes to where it's doesn't leave any moisture, it doesn't want to move, you're going to end up taking a pair of scissors and you're going to cut the boot right down the top, just like this, to the toes. But what you're going to do is you're going to slowly, once this is dry, very slowly pry it apart so they can get their foot out. This is the tricky part, and you may have to redo this if you mess it up. Some people can pull their foot out that way. Some people actually have to cut down this side and this side, open up the boot, pull their foot out, and then what happens is you're going to have to put it back together, and then you're going to put a couple layers of duct tape or painter's tape or masking tape or strapping tape to put it back into position. When you send this to us, fill it with newspaper like you want to buy shoes so it doesn't collapse. That's it for that.